property. Kostia, sleeping all night, stayed close to Mayra, while Nicolau watched them from afar, with unfriendly face. Sasha, Alex's daughter, tried in vain to cheer him up, as the young lady was there, very interested in him. She didn't move all night. Nicolau had already drunk a lot and didn't even care about the outbursts of the young girl who, coquettish like her mother, never missed an opportunity. In fact, everyone had already eaten and drunk to excess. "Nicolau, didn't you dance with me?" insisted Sasha coquettishly when a group of dancers approached them. Took him to the middle of the yard. "Come on." Everyone was dancing the polka, very excited. Those who were already drunk fell and were taken away. The Cossack dance began, a true marathon in which the strongest, the one who could hold out, bend his legs, he would drink the rest of the vodka 20. It was a Russian's moment to show his bravery, talent, and strength in the legs. One by one they fell, while the others clapped, leaving Kostya and Nicolau. Both were completely drunk, but none of them gave in, drinking and dancing with the figure of. Mayra was spinning in front. She herself was getting dizzy from the racket. The clapping and the music weren't. Stopped. The party was coming to an end, and the bride and groom left definitively. The young lady had also drunk a little wine. Her head was spinning, and without Christian support, she would have fallen. "I think I overdid it, Christian. I'm here. Who will win?" Christian asked, hugging her. "Nicholas. Let's see. Do you want to make a bet?" "I'll bet on Kostia." "Me and Nicolau. Where are you missing this time?" "You will go with the winner to the blue field of the woods." "Okay, but we need to warn them that they're under bet," and he pushed his brother. "Go." Christian approached them both. "Wait, Mayra and I bet." They both looked at him blankly, so drunk and tired. The winner will have to go with her to the blue field of the woods." "Okay, I'll go," shouted Kostia, excited to win. "What if you lose?" asked Nicolau. "I will go," replied the brother. Kostia, interested in the walk with the beautiful young woman, would give anything to remain standing and more. Accustomed to drinking, he had an advantage over the young man. However, Nicholas's vigor overcame him. There was a difference of 17 years between them. Brother, jealous of the attention that the older man gave to his sister, fought for victory. The fight between them became fierce. Between falling and getting up, their legs no longer supported the body until the older and more experienced won. Nicolau couldn't handle the veteran and fell, fainted and was carried, almost in a coma, into the interior of the izba. Mayra, not wanting to wake up, Katienka took a cloth and began to put hot water compresses on Nikolai's forehead to cheer him up. The day was already dawning and the other brothers hadn't returned. They must have been dating in somewhere. She and Christian breathed a sigh of relief as Nicholas began to warm up. They gave him some hot tea without honey, and they kept watch until daybreak. Kostia had also exceeded and was carried by some sober men who were helping others. 20 Russian cereal brandy. Kostia, determined to court Iulián Simorokov's daughter, began to take a keen interest in everything related to her and her family. The promise made to the girl at her father's wedding party would be fulfilled 2 days later. I was eagerly awaiting the day they would go to the forest. Finally, the long-awaited moment arrived. They would leave early and return for lunch. Nicolau, upset, showed his concern to his father. "Pal, wouldn't it be an exaggeration to let Mayra go to the field alone with a stranger? Where are you and your senses, Nikolai?" Simorokov turned, surprised at his baseless concern. Kostya is a polite and respectful man. Furthermore, he is old enough to be your father. "What are you worried about?" he asked, noticing the wrinkle that had formed on the young man's forehead. "At least, father, call someone else to accompany them," he exclaimed, determined to protect the sister. Simorokov saw in Mayra only a child, ignoring that his daughter had become a beautiful and seductive woman capable of awakening feelings of love in men. In her naive trust, the father did not realize the danger that his son's malice foresaw. Kostia, the great and solitary friend, still remained young and beautiful despite his age. Sumarokov did not imagine that he could awaken in his daughter another kind of interest. Nicholas, however, had warned him of the danger with his care. Excessive brotherly affection. He, who had always kept himself aloof from his sister, now set himself up as her censor. Your friendships and conduct. Iulián Sumarokov looked at him in amazement. Nicholas was also a grown man. Perhaps he was right. Thoughtfully, he considered his son's opinion and finally agreed. You must have your reasons, son. It's not good for Mayra to go to the field to pick flowers alone with a man. After all, she's already a young woman. This decision left Nicolau more relieved, as if that innocent walk could put his life at risk, of her sister in danger. If you are so worried, my son, go with them, then Kamai. Yes. Who else is so worried and full of care about the companies of? Your sister? Said Sumarokov playfully. Ask Christian, my father, he said, dodging to go because he knows the path well. Leads to the flowers our sister likes. Then call Christian. Tell him I'm asking him to accompany you, he ordered solicitously. Soon after, Nicolau left and Christian entered, fulfilling the request. Accompany your sister. Don't leave her alone. You are responsible for the trip that she and Kostia will take. Programmed. I'm fine, Dad. I'll go with pleasure. I really intended to accompany you. I'd like to return to that strange place. Do you remember where you found me after the ambush? Well, that place made a strange impression, and on Mayra, much more. Christian remembered the abandoned cabin in ruins near the wheat field. That cabin? Did you go back there? Yes. That's where the flower field is. Look, Dad, it looks like a haunted place. I love such emotions. It was there that Mayra started to act strange, and we had to go back soon. Interested in knowing what had happened in the hut, knowing that the girl used to have visions of spirits and described them, Sumarokov, intrigued, asked, did she say anything in particular? Yes, he said something, as if he had already visited her in another time. He knew of the existence of a hidden well behind the cabin. Mayra has this perception, and it seems that there this faculty developed even further. I want to know if she knows anything more about that place. Is this curiosity that encourages me to return. Don't disturb your sister. Sumarokov thought it impossible that anyone could ever discover his secret, and tried. Forget the fact. Nicolau, who was following the dialogue with interest, intervened. Is this place very far from here? Not that far. About 2 versts, replied Christian. Tell me, Christian, what really happened? Asked Nicholas, now very interested. Mayra and I were drawn to that place, as if something was inviting us to enter. The most interesting thing is that she knew certain things. She knew the well covered by foliage. No one would know of its existence if they hadn't lived there or already known it previously. Sumarokov, sitting down, lit a cigar and listened to them attentively, trying to appear disinterested. How did she know? Asked Nicolau. You know how our sister is. She has attitudes that sometimes surprise us. So, we entered the cabin. She acted quite strange. I feared something more serious had happened to her, but, fortunately, she soon returned to normal. I had the impression that there was someone else with us. The house seemed to hold some secrets. Frightened, I removed it immediately. I confess to you my cowardice overcame my curiosity. I didn't dare to advance the spirit signal. That's one more reason, my father, for you not to let her walk around alone or accompanied by people. Strange. You never know what might happen to her. Mayra can't be alone. Nicolau clearly demonstrated his concern, which before seemed like just a fit of jealousy, and his common sense ended up dissolving the last impression. 47 the tour. The warning was valid, and it was decided that Christian would accompany them because, in addition to knowing the region, he knew the exact place where his sister's favorite flowers were found. On a beautiful sunny Sunday morning, when the cool breeze caressed the leaves and flowers, swinging them as if playing a joyful and exuberant dance, the 3 went out towards the bush. Mayra had tied her hair with a white scarf with blue stripes, which matched her outfit. Part of her uncovered hair fell in golden locks, and the breeze played gently with it, giving it a spring-like appearance. The golden color of her hair, her youthful joy, gave her an angelic appearance that enchanted. Kozua, the young man, gazed at her, entranced, during the long walk. She looked more like an angel playing with the tender spring plants. Nature itself seemed to revere his passing when his little feet touched the grass. As the three approached the abandoned cabin, a bird came out, took flight, and released a shrill scream, alerting them. One ugly noise. It almost scares me. In this silence, nature seems to talk, with us through the sound of the wind, the rustling of the leaves, and the dancing of the swaying wheat fields. The nature talks to us through its sounds. Impressed and scared, she ran to brother, who welcomed her affectionately. She complained like a child. I'm scared, Christian. I feel different as I approach this place. Let's be quick. Kostia looked at his brothers, enchanted by the girl's beauty, whose presence awakened in him tumultuous thoughts. It was the portrait of his beloved Sasha. He could not comprehend the great similarity between them. He felt himself the most privileged of men, living with that adorable little creature, whose sweetness and gentleness reminded him of his unhappy girlfriend. Happiness and fortune invaded his dreaming soul. Finally, destiny was leading him. Someone. He was determined to ask Sumarokov to marry her, willing to do anything to make her happy. I want to provide him with tranquility, children, a home where his only concern would be fulfillment of all his wishes. The beautiful Mayra would be his wife, even if it were necessary. Fight against the world. The age difference would not be an obstacle. He considered himself young, full of life, and capable enough to make any woman happy. Such thoughts troubled him as the two brothers walked briskly ahead of him. Suddenly, they stopped, their heads together as if whispering. Mayra, we'll only go in if you promise not to get upset again. Please don't bother me. Scaresmore, holding his brother's arm, he affectionately said, Don't you know, dear Christian, that this was the beginning of everything? I don't understand you, crazy girl. I don't know what you're saying. Do you know, by any chance, what you're talking about? Meanwhile, Kostia caught up with them and jokingly asked, What are the brothers arguing about? Nothing, Christian replied, looking at his sister. The secret belonged only to the two of them, and that Kostia was interfering too much, even though he respected him as an old friend of his father. Nothing that concerns you. Nothing. Kostia, understanding, without being bothered by the boy's answer, argued, remembering. From that place, I know this place. I lived on this farm a long time ago, and nothing here is strange to me, except some small changes. The two brothers looked at him in amazement. Kostia's face grew sad at the memory of the tragic night of his daughter's birth. Alha, whose whereabouts he did not know. He sat down on the bench, letting out a deep sigh. It was the same bench in which he, desperate, he had placed his newborn daughter, not knowing the fate that awaited her. It still seemed. Hear her timid cry. 2 tears trembled in her beautiful eyes and moved Mayra, who asked, Why are you crying, Mr. Vladimir? Kostia, though embarrassed by his unexpected tears, looked at her, grateful for her affection, attention, and, with a sad smile, answered him, For memories that make me suffer, and that this place was a stage, as they both expected, for him to continue. Kostia explained, So many years have passed since everything happened here. I never returned to this place, and by chance, here I am, remembering the facts as if they were still happening. It's a long story. Tell us, insisted Mayra, anxious, wanting to know the secrets that were hidden in those dark eyes. That interesting man awakened in her affectionate and understanding, stimulated their sensitivity, in addition to the uncontrollable curiosity to know the reason for her tears. She wanted to console the handsome man who treated her and looked at her so differently from all the others. His heart was pounding. At the girl's request, Kostia decided to open up and told her the story of her birth. His little daughter, plunging his gaze into that sweet face. It's a long story. I don't know if it might interest you, but at your sincere request, beautiful. Mayra, I will tell you about a part of my life, perhaps the most important, the one that had the biggest impact on me. When I was young, not yet 20 years old, I fell madly in love with a girl who, in turn, to my delight, he also fell in love with me. The happiness of being loved became me the happiest of mortals. But as joy and sorrow go together, our relationship was turbulent and our love was very difficult to achieve. Son of poor moujiks, I could not. Never to aspire one day to unite myself with the daughter of the Lord, of the powerful and feared Norobod, for whom I am. My parents, we serve under harsh conditions. Yes, it was impossible. Sasha was their only daughter, and our romance could never be discovered. In secret, we began to meet precisely in that izba where today you and your family live. It was there, in the fenced izba, that we met. Months later, she got pregnant, and we decided to run away, knowing that if we reported the fact, they would keep us away forever of the other. But cruel fate planned a terrible trick. We were discovered by the overseer of the farm, Sergei, whose wickedness caused everyone unspeakable suffering. News of the affair was revealed to his parents. I was cowardly persecuted. My parents, who knew nothing, were violently mistreated to reveal my whereabouts. Other families, friends of moujiks, hid me as they were looking for me dead or alive. The henchmen, not finding me, pretended to my death, setting fire to another boy, the son of a moujik. They disfigured his face, taking it unrecognizable so that Norobod wouldn't realize the mistake. Thinking I was dead, calmed down. The lover of Sergei learned the fact. Fortunately, he kept quiet, because the cruelty of Norobod and Sergei could fall over other innocents. Believing myself dead, I devised a new plan. I met with the nurse of Sasha, who adored her and favored our secret meetings. I begged her not to tell him that I was alive. Nastasia informed me that Norobod had decided to kill our offspring when it was born. The news left me stunned and drove me mad with rage. I disguised myself and at night surprised Nastasia with a new plan. On the day of birth, I would take possession of the child and run away. Just me and Nastasia. We were aware of this. Every precaution was needed. Our dear pregnant woman was about to surrender to discouragement, mortified by my death. Nastasia, in an attempt to bring him some, for comfort, afraid of harming the birth, she decided to tell him that I was still alive and told him of our plan. When his father discovered that the child had been born and stolen, beat her violently, forcing her to report the thief. She resisted the mistreatment as much as she could, but revealed nothing. Very shaken, she suffered a heavy hemorrhage and died. Nastasia had time to give myself to my little daughter after being kissed by her mother. I fled desperately, taking the precious burden, and it was in this place that I laid my treasure, my little daughter. Terrified, I heard a noise and fled to divert my pursuers. In reality, it was the noise of the brave chariot. Nastasia, who came to tell me that he had been discovered and wanted to take care of the child. Sasha had been under mother's care, not knowing exactly who was following me. Fearful of another ambush, I ran through bush. It was a moonlit night. I learned later that Nastasia was found dead, carrying with her a bundle which resembled a newborn. That was our plan. After that, I heard nothing more about my daughter, who disappeared from the place that same morning. The young woman listened to him attentively, without missing a single word he said. A soft sigh escaped her, his chest, and died in his throat when he finished the narrative. Kassa was crying. Mayra, instinctively, she ran her delicate hand through his black hair, trying to comfort him. The girl, I didn't know how to define my true feelings, but I felt that my life was linked to his, always, and that at that moment, he was the most important person. Don't cry, Mr. Vladimir. Who knows, maybe heaven will give you a surprise and give you back your chance to find your daughter. If she is still alive, don't you know that even the stones find The sweet and comforting words of that angel of candor encouraged him, and he thanked him, moved. "Thank you. My dear Mayra, you are an angel," and holding her cold little hand, he kissed it, movedly, caressing her with his lips. He wanted to kiss her pink mouth, which was half open, revealing the targets and small teeth. Who knows? Jesus may have sent her some kind soul who welcomed her as a daughter. One, she argued piteously, still tenderly stroking his hand. Christian, jealous of the scene, intervened. "Let's go back. Or did we come here to catch blueberries from the forest?" Coming out of their trance, the two walked away from the Izba, still looking at the grabado, examining the ceiling. Fragile and aged, the hut, about to collapse, was dark and a refuge for venomous animals. Cause fear. Excited and thoughtful, they dared not say a word. Christian followed. Front. Kostia's story left her distressed. She wanted to be alone and think for a while about everything that had heard. The painful experience of her new friend, whom she was beginning to admire. They filled the basket with flowers and soon returned. They returned thoughtfully, without understanding the emotion that dominated them. Mayra spoke for. Monoswabs had lost all his spontaneity, without disguising the sweet feeling, and I fear that, beat in her heart in relation of Vladimir, whose presence made her happy. Something very strong united her to that suffering man, as if his story belonged to him. His desire was to console him and take him. Happy. Am I loving for the first time? He listened to his inner self. May this love be welcome in my heart, he thought. Kostia was determined to talk to Sumarokov, ask his daughter out, and make their relationship official. Feelings so strong that he could no longer hide them. He returned from the significant, walked with his firm purpose, looking at the beautiful wheat field, full of blues from the woods. 48 Kostia in love. Svastia would remain at the Norobod farm for 2 more days, enough time to leave everything behind. Agreed. And now he was talking animatedly about cooperative projects, the real reason for his visit. The special reason that had brought him to the Norobod farm was to resolve emotional problems related to Mayra and her family. Yago, what is it, Kostia? You look so funny. I need to talk to you about my feelings, to get it off my chest before I take an initiative that will decide my destiny as a lonely man. I never thought of joining someone accustomed to live with my loneliness, having as an ideal our cause the liberation of our brothers who, by the mercy of luck, they live in misery. My parents are gone, and I plan my life alone with my memories. Today, I don't think so. Alex Norobod looked at him curiously, but realizing the gravity of his friend's desires, he listened to him without interrupt him. Well, I feel enveloped by a creature who, despite her youth and blossoming innocence, touched me deeply, as once your unfortunate sister made me the happiest of men. You know now, my dear, that Sasha was the only woman I ever loved and the reason for my loneliness. During all this time that you have known me, Alex inclined his head, encouraging him to continue. Kostia was quiet and introverted. Only, now, after the ambush set up by Sergei, they both became closer, as if they were brothers. True, taking pity on his friend, Alex looked at him circumspectly and, interested in his fate, asked, "You're talking as if you're in love and found someone who can change your life. Destiny? Or am I mistaken? Can you tell me about this person who has captured your heart?" "Yes, Yago, I will not keep a secret. I am counting on your help. This is your mother's ward, girl that you lovingly keep on your farm." Surprised, Yago frowned, worried, guessing who it was. He felt inexplicable pity for his friend, who revealed in his gaze his love and his submission to the law of attraction and affinity of souls. "Are you talking about Sumarokov's daughter, or am I mistaken?" "Yes, I'm referring to Mayra. I fell madly in love with the flower of the woods. This creature populates my dreams and my lonely nights. Since I saw her, I have never felt alone, because her presence comforts me as if I were with your sister, my dear Sasha. If fate, cruel, had not snatched it from me, we would be happy and united forever. Yago, remembering his dear sister, was also moved, hearing him speak of her with such care, moved by such great fidelity. He realized that despite the time she had never had replacement in your heart. But, Comrade Kostia, Mayra is so young. Isn't she a little immature to take on commitments with a mature man like you? Yes, she is very young. That is why I asked you for help. I want you to convince Sumarokov to consent to her marrying me, for I will make her the happiest woman on earth.